My name is Emily and we're at the Doddington Hall exhibition for Lincolnshire Artists Society, where I have one piece in this exhibition, which is this one here. It's called Equilibrium 360 and it's made with a combination of paper cutting, paper folding, pencil and ink.
Ink is your main medium?
It is. I work in a few different ways. I would say probably ink with pencil and paper cutting for this type of thing, because I like that you can have a lot of control with a really fine pen. I'm really interested in doing lots of detail. I'm quite interested in the idea of how you can get symmetry in nature and things like that, and all the geometry and how it's drawn, and it's very much about the making of it as well as the finished piece. So I quite like to play with geometry a little bit, and I don't really have a plan as such when it comes to making these. I'll just play with a pattern and I'll make slight changes and then see what it looks like with layers of paper on top of it and things like that. And it kind of develops without a plan, and then I just see what happens. I like the shadows that you get when you lay a paper and when you curl it and fold it and quill it and things like that.
Let's talk about the concept of equilibrium.
That just came about because I was trying to make it look the same and keep it as accurate as possible, and sort of really tightly made, and so it just kind of came from that. It's just a word that I quite liked to describe the idea that it's all quite tightly controlled and symmetrical and things like that. And the 360 comes from the angles that I used to make the actual drawings originally.
So how did you organize this?
Literally just by playing with it and seeing what looked right. And I did make some little videos of it while I was making it, and sort of moved layers of paper so they were lifted up and then coming back down, so the shadows changed and things like that. So that came into it a little bit. That helps me to decide how high up I wanted to raise the layers and things like that. So it is quite experimental. It's a bit of a playful piece, really, even though it looks quite tightly controlled and stuff. It's actually, the development of it was quite free, without a plan.
How do you choose your medium?
I choose pen and pencil and ink because I like seeing other work in that medium, and that's the work that when I see someone else's, I kind of get really excited by it and sort of really love looking at it. So I just like the way it looks, basically.
Do you have more pieces like this?
Yes, I have quite a few. I've done. They're all quite geometrical, and they use different types of quilling. So I've started to go quite 3D with it now. But I use patterns. I spent quite a lot of time in Thailand when I was younger. So I was surrounded by all the Buddhist temples and all these incredible patterns that they have around the place. So that's quite a strong influence. I don't think you'd recognise them as Buddhist patterns, but it's kind of coming through my sketchbooks, and I've developed them and turned them into my own kind of thing. So that's quite a strong influence, I think, in my work.
You've spent a lot of time there?
Yeah, my parents lived there for about 12 years when I was there, when I was younger, in Southeast Asia. So I did quite a lot of toing and froing while I was at university, and coming back to England and going back and forwards. Yeah, so it was really great. I used to do lots of pencil portraits. That was kind of what started me off on this road. I don't really know why I got into quilling. I think I saw an exhibition of paper cutting and was really blown away by it and wanted to try it out. And I remember working with an artist called Andy Singleton many years ago to do a workshop, and thought, yeah, I love this. This is definitely, I want to bring some more of that into my work. So it became a combination of trying to get all the detail from my pencil portraits, but not doing people, and trying to do patterns instead. And that's kind of where this work sort of developed from.
What?
I'm doing a lot of origami, so one of the things I want to do with this type of work is make it even more 3D. So I've started to do some quite complicated origami and trying to learn all the different folds, and what I want to do is bring in the pattern work and the pencil work to try and make it more sculptural, and I'll perhaps play with the scale a little bit as well. So everything I do at the moment is quite tiny, so I might start to go bigger. I've worked on, so the other things that I do in my practice is I do in sort of installations and work with communities and school groups. And I've been making origami flowers and insects and things like that for festivals. They're going down really well, they're really popular, so I want to bring the pattern and the geometry side of that into more installation based work. Don't know quite what I'm going to do yet, but that's what I want to develop. That's what I want to have a play with when I get some more development time, which is a bit thin on the ground actually at the moment. I've been too busy. This is the stuff that I do sort of for myself, and it's what I'm interested in, and I do it purely because of the pleasure of making it, but also I have my professional practice as well, and the stuff that earns me the money and that people see out and about more often, which I also love doing, but it's very much steered by what other people want to do. So my other stuff tends to be installations, and I work with community groups, and we make things for events like festivals, and I've just done Spalding Light Night at Ask Coffee Hall, which I worked with lots of different groups for that, and we put on an event with a fire garden and with performance artists, which is really great, but it's just so varied, and there's so many different mediums that we work with, and I mean we've got fire sculptures and all sorts that we've made, and so it can be quite difficult when someone says, as an artist, what do you do? And I go, well, it's a little bit like what I don't do at the moment, because it's just so broad. So I've got a website, which is theartofemily.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram at theartofemily_UK, and Facebook. I have a Facebook page, which is The Art of Emily.